Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live. Now, artist and theatre maker Eva Bartels, together with the South African theatre director Iman Isaacs, will from next week present a multimedia theatre play called Irma. The body of work is about the life and work of Irma Stern, addressing the complexity of image making. Eva and Iman also get to the bottom of things, digging their way through history and reflecting from their perspectives as two female artists. Well, to tell us more about this collaborative work, Eva and Iman join us on Zoom. Ladies, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. I'm going to start with Eva. Just for the benefit of viewers, let's start with you giving us a bit of background and history of who Irma Stern is.
Thank you for the introduction. Irma Stern was a painter from South Africa, and she had German Jewish roots, and her parents came from Germany and moved to South Africa, and she grew up here as a person with European roots in a South African landscape. And she became one of the biggest artists from South Africa, and with a huge creation of lots of portraits of many people. And she's known mostly for her paintings of the Cape Malay women. And she has big exhibitions in Norval Foundation, and there's a museum in Cape Town that is called the Irma Stern Museum.
Yeah. Iman, let's bring you into this conversation. How did the idea of, creating theatre production for the works based on Irma Stern come about?
Well, I was actually approached by Eva at the beginning of this process with an interest of making this work around Irma. And to be honest, I think I was a bit hesitant in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, what about Irma, really? I mean, yes, the fact that she's a female artist at a time where she was, creating work, and particularly work that represented people of color, at a time where, it was a bit taboo to do so.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, exhibiting this work. So yes, that was interesting. But beyond that, it was just a work to kind of explore her history and her life as a privileged artist that had the means to travel during that time, and also go to different countries in the African continent, and kind of, extract and paint beautiful images of the exoticized black body. I have a little bit of a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing with Eva and myself was just that opened up a different conversation. So now we start looking at Irma's work through a different lens, to create a dialogue around it.
Yeah.
So yes, we celebrate Irma, of course. I mean, she's a female artist, expressionist artist from Africa that's phenomenal. But there's also another layer to her work.
Yeah.
And that conversation for me was definitely the in.
I also want to have a conversation about the themes, explored, through this play. I mean, the political and the non-political choices in art. I mean, speak to us about this, Eva.
What is your question exactly? If there's a political side on this?
Yes, and a non-political side to it.
Yes, definitely, and that is one of the biggest themes that Iman and me are researching at this point, because we are really trying to put our finger on the practice of Irma, and we are digging into her diaries, and we're digging into the work that she created, the letters that she wrote, the reviews that have been written about her, and we are really trying to find out if she made political actions within her work, or if she totally abandoned the politics by focusing on portraying women in ways that are not addressing that most of the time, or was it by ignoring that? Was it the act of activism? And so we are really trying to figure out the political layers in her work. And every day we're like, yes, she was an activist, and then we're like, no, she was totally ignorant, and then we're like, yes, so we are all over the place, and that's why body of work that brings up so many questions, and that's why it's such a rich theme.
And I think one of the main reasons that we are still talking about Irma Stern 50 years on is how complex her work is. It's not straightforward. There's a complexity about Irma Stern that, we don't often talk about. Eva, I mean, take us through how this, the play also answers, the question of how does one make an image of someone other than themselves?
Thank you. That is such a good question, because we are also questioning ourselves. And because I'm also an artist and a theater maker, I tell the stories of other people many, many times. And for me, if I do it in a respectful way, sometimes that is not enough. So if it comes only from my perspective, then it's a one-dimensional story about somebody else. And that's why this project is so layered, because it involves many women from many backgrounds with many different ideas and stories to bring along. So in this situation, or in this project, we are making an image about Irma, but also about us and about all these women involved, and wanting to share their stories and whatever those stories might be. So it's about, I think, collaboration and exchange, and sharing space for multiple truths.
Iman, you've been, intensively rehearsing for this play. Paint a picture for us as to what theatre patrons are going to experience when they finally get to see this project.
Cool. Yes, of course. So this piece for us, I think because the process itself was a roller coaster. It was a bit of everything.
I can imagine.
It was the two of us debating, particularly because we come from two very different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Eva from the Netherlands, me from Cape Town, from Cape descent. We already have a history.
As a history,
that's a difficult one, right? So it was a lot of us also negotiating ourselves within that, plus going into the work of Irma, plus the politics around her work, particularly looking at it through a lens from today, a current lens. And we felt, as we were creating this piece, as we we're going through our process, that this is it. This is what the piece is about. It's about the dialogue. It's about the conversation. And so the production or the play for us is more like a research, a research that unfolds in real time, that moves between facts, between dream spaces, between conflicts, between drawing on art historians for their input, drawing on other artists for their input, and follows kind of Eva as she moves along this research journey.
Yeah. And I suppose there's no way you can ignore the eternal child. I mean, the eternal child is who Irma Stern is. Do you know what I mean? If you know Irma Stern, you'll know the eternal child. How do you then incorporate that into the production? How difficult was for you to incorporate it into the production?
You mean the painting itself?
Yes, and child? Putting it on stage, making sure that we get it. For somebody who knows Irma's work will recognize it.
Yes. Well, we are working also with the decor, of course, and so the decor is displaying many of the art pieces. We wished that we could have put like all the original pieces, but I think that's going to be a little bit of a security issue.
Yeah.
But right. Yes, the eternal child is we are also discussing that, Iman and me, that she had a huge inner child, and sometimes maybe even till the end of her life, also dodging certain responsibility and focusing on playfulness and depicting the joyful moments in her perspective.
All right. Ladies, thank you so much for talking to us. I personally can't wait to see the production. That's Eva Bartels and Iman Isaacs. We've been talking about their new multimedia play, Irma, which is set to take place from the 5th to the 14th of May at the Artscape Theatre in Cape Town. Don't miss it if you're in the mother city. All right, after this, we chatted to Matondo about the latest exhibition regarding Ray Chikapa Piri's theme, Train of Memories and Spirits. Stay with us.